standing in front of the actual Millennium Falcon. Just something you never dream about. And watching Han Solo and Leia share what turns out to be their final moments together and kind of being there for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like from your childhood. If that's not a I'm there moment, I'm here moment, I don't know what is.
Welcome to Salon Talks. I am Mary Elizabeth Williams, and I'm very relieved that the guy next to me did not bring his bat today because he is Ken Leung. You know him from many iconic performances: Rush Hour, Saw, Star Wars: The Force Awakens, the series Lost, absolutely indelible, Avatar: The Last Airbender, and of course, as one of the stars of the absolutely addictive white knuckle TV show Industry. It is back for its third season. Hi, Ken. How are you?
Hi, I'm great.
Okay,
I'm great.
Let's just start. It's been 2 years we've been waiting for this season.
Right.
Eric is in a completely different place. He's been through a lot of ups and downs, and I've watched the season. I know there's more to come. Tell me about where he is when we are reintroduced to him after this long hiatus.
Well, let's see. He, when we first meet him way in the beginning, he's this kind of calm, collected, confident kind of king of this world. But we see little cracks in that. The baseball bat. Something is threatening, something is missing. He seems very ready to take on a protege. And then in the second season, he kind of goes through the series equivalent of a midlife crisis. He hooks up with an ex-girlfriend. He interviews along with some colleagues at other banks. He's looking for a change. Season 3, he finally makes it. He finally makes partner. The seeming peak of his career. It comes a little late in his career, and it comes at great cost that we soon learn. His wife has left him. He has developed a drinking problem. He's grappling with aging out of a young man's game. So that's where we meet him in season 3. And he has no protege anymore. He's kind of starting from scratch in a very chaotic life transitional place.
Yeah, Eric is more isolated this season than ever before. When you're starting a show and it's in its first season, I imagine that the writing and the directing is very much based on the conceptualization of these characters in this show. Now, 3 seasons in, they are writing for you. They are writing for this cast. They are developing these characters knowing how you can play them. I'm wondering how you see the evolution of Eric in line with your own evolution behind the scenes.
I feel like I kind of asked for a season like this because, it's one thing to play somebody who's confident and kind of is in control of everything. The next step that's fun is to see how you lose control. And partially because you're not sure how that's going to play out. And so that's a fun prospect to play. And so I kind of hoped for cracks and just to see how his suit of armor gets dismantled. What happens when he doesn't have a bat to wield around? Like metaphorically, without the metaphorical bat, where is he? I don't know. So that's what I wanted to play. And that's what we see in this season.
And he's also now isolated from Harper. You had great chemistry with this person as a mentor and younger person. You're now in a different dynamic with the cast, with the people that you're interacting with more. I know you've talked in the past about the role of improvisation in your cast. With these parallel with this very technical, precise language, this world that is there's very little wiggle room. How do you juxtapose those two things, the play and the precision?
Well, they're kind of separate things. Like as far as the the precision, our creators are very accessible to us, and they're constantly answering just the dumbest questions, the most, elementary concepts for us. So they're always there. So there's a kind of, we don't have to rely on just ourselves. And for the playing of a scene, you don't really have, it's not a clinic on finance. You have to know what is happening in this scene, what are the stakes in the scene. And then beyond that, the terms and the terminology and stuff, it's not really an issue. As far as the improvising, we're playing people. So a lot of time, and not only that, you're in a business that is based on relationship building. So it makes sense that on a phone call, you're not always talking about finance. You're reconnecting with a friend. You're cracking jokes. And in that sense, you can talk about anything. And so those are kind of easy and also helpful because you naturally kind of loosen up when you can talk about anything you want. What's on your mind, that day. You can kind of, things in your personal life can kind of bleed into it. So so they're kind of two different things that work well together.
Has there been a moment or a scene where somebody really threw you a curveball on this show? Whenever I have to riff off finance, I'm incredibly thrown. And what I do usually is, because we have, as our props, we have a lot of financial papers on our desk. Some of them are newspapers, or something just, real newspapers. So I'll read a clip and then riff off that. So that's how I handle being thrown that way. But yeah, anytime it's finance, I'm thrown. Yeah, I'm thrown just listening to you. This season, without giving anything away, we know that there are some new cast members. We know Kit Harington joins the cast, and he is playing this part. This arc explores the idea of sustainable and environmental investing.
Right.
Very, very topical.
Right.
I wonder how you approach this as creators, because I'm watching this arc thinking there's a lot of cynicism there. There's a lot of skepticism. I think all of us who have any money know that whenever we're investing or spending, we don't know what we're paying for. We don't know what evil we're doing in the world with our money.
Right.
How did you feel about approaching this? And what did you learn about this idea of environmental and sustainable?
It seemed like a natural next thing. From season 2, it was about the health space, and it was during COVID. And so it's very kind of topically reflective, I feel like our show is. It's interesting with the whole green space thing. Pierpoint / Eric, this business, seems we only care about the good we're doing as long as it positively affects our bottom line. So it's just another, we're salespeople. So this is hot now. Well, let's sell this. The thing I think is interesting about this season is that it's almost like the gamble that Pierpoint takes on ethical investing is crystallized in the form of one man's gamble in episode 4 with Rishi's episode. I love that episode because it's almost like the show as seen through the lens of one person. So it distills, one can take that episode and have it and extrapolate it to kind of the series. So yeah, it made sense to me. I saw it as another thing to sell.
Right, another way to test your ethics in the world of capitalism. You have done so much. You're a busy guy. I can barely keep track. You also earlier this year were doing the live action version of Avatar, The Last Airbender. I heard that you didn't know exactly what you were going up for.
Didn't. I know, that's the thing everyone talks about. But I mean, it's so, like a lot of projects these days, you're told very they deliberately keep it under wraps. And so you're told very little. All I knew was Avatar, and the low-hanging fruit of Avatar is the James Cameron Avatar. So I thought, is it that? For like a second, people have made it into something.
Okay.
But
then you have to translate this animated character.
Yeah.
And you're taking on a franchise that people feel very strongly
beloved, right?
Beloved.
Right.
What was it like coming into this? I mean, it's not your first rodeo walking into a franchise that people love.
It is the first in terms of the kind of makeup of the cast and a lot of people behind the camera. I mean, it was almost entirely Asian and First Nations. And it was just this incredibly diverse team. That I've never been part of anything like that before. A lot of people I knew from other things. So that was really, that felt comfortable in a new way. Like seeing familiar faces, or people I've wanted to meet and never got to. Daniel Day Kim, who we've since lost. For years, we were always like, we should do something together. Finally, we're in something together. So as far as the beloved quality, I watched the animated thing just to see what I was getting into. And the character in the animated series, my impression is that he's drawn with very kind of broad strokes. And it's kind of anyone's guess how he got that way. And so I saw a lot of room to humanize him because it was kind of up to me how I did that. So that was fun.
Ken, when you talk about being on a set, being part of a cast of Asian and Indigenous people, I read an interview with you from about 2 years ago where you said, when I started my career, I didn't know if there was going to be a place for me as an Asian American actor.
Right, true, but I also didn't worry about it. I knew I needed to act. I knew it gave me something that I was missing in my upbringing. It gave me a kind of safe space to investigate what this is. And I wasn't practiced in that. And being able to do it in a pretend setting just felt it was like the perfect, it's safe. You're given the words that you need to say. You can really look into what are feelings? What do I do with them? In the presence of another person. I think I needed that as a person. I didn't really think about career, how long, longevity, I didn't really have reason to anticipate anything long term, but I also didn't care. I know it's going to benefit me for as long as it'll have me. So that's how that's why I persevered in it.
And yet you have lived through numerous decades now in this industry where things have changed.
Yeah.
You're a parent, you're looking at the characters your child is growing up watching.
Yeah.
What do you think has shifted, and what do you think still needs to change in terms of casting, in terms of representation?
I think we're finally in a place where we can start. I feel like, and what that means is it's anybody's guess. It's like you've been in the room. You weren't allowed in the room before. Then you were allowed in the room, but we were still doing this stuff over here while you're standing over there. Finally, we're looking at you, and we're saying, "Hey, you're in the room. Who are you?" I mean, it's like anything is possible, And what you want to share is, like I said, not anybody's guess, but it's like it's up to you. It could be anything. So it's sort of all possibilities are open to us now. And we can finally start. You can start being in the room instead of just being there physically or nominally,
You have been at this such a long time. You talked about earlier that scene that basically opens this season of Industry, where you walk in, you are basically being coronated, you've arrived.
Yeah.
Have you had a moment like that in your career where you thought, oh, this is it, this is different, something shifted? I'm there.
Maybe standing in front of the actual Millennium Falcon. Just something you never dream about. I think it was that. And watching Han Solo and Leia share what turns out to be their final moments together and kind of being there for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like from your childhood. So if that's not a I'm there moment, I'm here moment, I don't know what is.
Yeah, no, I think that qualifies.
Yeah.
I can only imagine. You when I think about you, you're sitting next to me, you're a sweet guy. You've played so many angry guys. You play anger like nobody's business. Like nobody's business. You were scary. You have a scene this season where you are basically teaching somebody how to be angry, how to let it out.
Right.
There's a moment like that. I want to know what is different. Your first film role in Rush Hour, you're kind of an angry guy. You're doing anger now, and yet it's 30 years on? What is different about playing that very masculine kind of macho anger as a young person, and then
Good
visiting
question.
it now as a less young person?
Well, for Rush Hour, I had this whole character history that was never part of the story. It was never going to be part of the story. It had to do with why my hair was bleached. It had to, and so and also it was my first film, and as far as I knew, it was going to be my last film. I didn't know, I couldn't count on doing another one. So I kind of just put, with that history, I kind of just threw everything into it in a kind of devil may care way. Now it's not so devil may care. The difference now is, I don't even know if I wouldn't even call it anger anymore. I obviously know what you're saying. But now it has layers of what that is about as far as who I'm playing. Not so much anger as its own thing, but it's more baked into how I build whoever I'm playing. It's less devil may care. Yeah.
The older you get, the
older you get,
the stakes are different.
The more you know what goes where. Yeah.
All right. You have been in. I want to ask you one more thing, because you've been in some incredible franchises, like big franchises, like Star Wars, Avatar, Saw. You're going to be in Joker 2. I mean, that's big. These are big.
Yeah.
You were in Lost. I haven't even asked you about Lost.
Right.
I want to know, is there a franchise that you're still like, this is the one I really want to do? I want to be a Ghostbuster. I want to be a Bond villain. Is there something yet that you still are like, this is
it's over now, but I loved Breaking Bad. I think it's like the greatest show ever. Because, the Vietnam Memorial? So you go to a Vietnam Memorial and you see, one name, two names, and, people who have died Vietnam War. And then you walk, and then you see a dozen names. And you keep walking, and before you know it, you're surrounded by names. And I love that kind of slow, as far as in the context of a TV show, you start with nothing, one little thing, and you keep going. And it ends up, it's the before you know it element that I just feel, I don't know, it's a lot like acting in my life. I just want to do it because it teaches me how to say hello. you know? But I'm going to keep doing it. And then before you know it, I can have a conversation with you now. I don't know if I could have done this, you know, when I started. I'd have been all awkward or whatever, or not know what to say, or be conscious of not knowing what to say, and then all become a mess, you know, like maybe a lot of us growing up. But it's given me this facility and this kind of self-possession. I went off on a tangent.
No, it's good. All right, we'll get to see more of that this season in industry and in Joker. Can you tell me anything about Joker 2?
I can't.
Okay, all right. All right, then I'll just have to wait until the fall. Ken Leung, thank you so much. The new season of Industry is out now.
Thank you so much,
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Same.
Thank you for watching Salon Talks. If you had a good time, why not subscribe right over here so you can get more conversations with your favorite artists, actors, directors, writers, comedians, musicians, politicians, everybody you love, and I love too. And while you're here, why not watch another video right now?